A lot of people really are shocked, just as you are, both about the allegations against Moore and, of course, the way that Ziegler is defending him. Oh, absolutely stunning allegations, Byron Lenise. I just got off the phone with Sheriff Haas Mack. He tells me employees at Camp Beckwith are under investigation for allegedly giving at least 3 children sleeping pills without parents' consent. And then one of the suspects struck him across the face with a gun, pistol whipped him. You can even see some of the blood splatters here on the floor from that attack.
Oh yeah, that's right, Shelby and Byron. $5,000 to be exact. MPD is hoping that that can be a big incentive for somebody to come forward and get this crook off the streets. Meanwhile, the poor people who were shot last night at the gas station, they're still in critical condition, and their co-workers are telling me they're offering up their prayers.
Bob Lenise, we're just starting to get these reports in. Charles Barkley has been walking around speaking with folks in the media. That's where I am now, on the media risers.
But take a walk to the area where Olin told 911 the cloud of chlorine gas was headed, and you'll notice these pine trees are still brown.
They have actually evacuated this entire facility, and the reason why we aren't allowed to go any closer into the facility is because of how potentially dangerous this situation could be.
On the 3 different weekends that I've been out here witnessing this activity while undercover, and this is a device that's going to help us scoop up the sediment from the bottom of the bay and bring it back up to the surface here. It's pretty heavy, so I'm getting a bit of a workout. Why would you vote against something that would ultimately help protect children?
You believe that this incident should have ever happened in the first place, when there was an opportunity, a clear opportunity, for this man to have been arrested when he was disarmed and calmed down at his daughter's house with deputies around him. What evidence do you have that would show that there is no health concern here?
The bottom line, that our mayor has made it his prerogative to make Mobile the safest city in America. Do you think that we are still on track to make that happen?
I'd say yes, we are on track.
Yeah, well, I looked into that and I spoke with multiple different law enforcement officials from various different agencies, and they all tell me that this particular brand of body camera that was being used at the time has about a 10-second delay on it. So from the time that it's turned on until the time it begins recording, there's that delay. So that explains why there might be a little bit of missing video there of that incident.
Members of the McIntosh community say they still don't trust the chemical plant next door that allegedly exposed them to chlorine gas.
Desperate for answers about the largest chlorine leak since 2010 at the Olin chemical plant last month, dozens of McIntosh residents turned to Fox 10 News Investigates for help. Investigative reporter Kati Weis heard their concerns and has been working for the past month to uncover the truth about what happened.
She's in the studio with our special report.
Well, there's a lot of things that went wrong on February 15th, from the employee's mistake that led to the chlorine leak to the reason why police officers were sent directly to the place where the cloud of toxic gas had traveled, to the company's failure to effectively alert the impoverished community right across the street about the release of chlorine gas near their neighborhood. One neighbor fears that last mistake may have permanently jeopardized her health.
On February 15th, I actually noticed that the alarm was going off, so I stepped on my porch and I just looked around.
Tammy Reed lives and works directly across the street from the Olin Corporation chemical plant in McIntosh. She remembers the night of the chlorine gas leak vividly.
When I stepped outside and took a big sniff, something is fishy. At that time, I was just thinking, okay, it must be just something malfunctioning with them, because if it actually was something devastating going on, they would actually come around and alarm people and let us know. But like I said, I didn't hear no one had come around.
Olin has admitted that while their shelter-in-place alarm sounded, the community call notification system was not working at the time of the incident. So neighbors were not aware that a toxic gas was floating near their homes. Not long after the leak, Reed said she was diagnosed with asthma.
The next following day, like something was just choking me.
A supervisor called 911 about an hour and a half after the company's incident report shows the leak began. Listen as the supervisor asks for the dispatcher's advice.
There's chlorine gas at the boat landing. Do you think we need an officer to block off the road where nobody go down to the boat landing.
I can send you one if you want me to. How long do you think it'll take for that to blow out?
Well, most of the event is over with.
Okay.
There's still some probably coming off the top of the tank, but it's not a lot. But when I get back to my monitors, I can call you back.
Okay.
Or,
I'll go ahead and have McIntosh stage up right there, and just call me back and let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
We were out here on the highway whenever we got the call.
Lieutenant Charles Koger responded to block off the boat landing, the exact spot where the supervisor told the 911 dispatcher the chlorine gas was located.
We could smell the strong smell of chlorine. I was feeling somewhat discomfort in my throat, at the time, breathing it, sort of like a scratchy type feeling.
Koger says they stayed at the boat landing for about 10 minutes, and then they were asked to block off all of River Road because the chlorine cloud was affecting the entire neighborhood. Koger says he got really sick and had to miss work.
It was probably about 2 days after that, I started developing a cough, then being congested. It lasted probably a good week.
He's still upset that Olin did not advise him that he should not be directly in harm's way.
They should be at the top of their game, They wasn't.
In an incident report, Olin said 738 pounds of chlorine gas was released that night due to a lack of attention to detail by employees working at the plant. The report says after maintenance crews finished their work, settings were not returned to normal. So when the night shift came in to do their regular duties, chlorine started leaking. So just how much is 738 pounds of chlorine gas? Well, to put it into perspective, chemical experts tell me it would be just about enough to almost fill one entire tank car, like you see here. Chlorine gas can be deadly. It was weaponized during World War I and has more recently been used as a lethal weapon in the war in Syria. A material safety data sheet written by Olin says chlorine gas is, quote, irritating to the respiratory system, may cause throat pain and cough, even saying it can cause heart disease, respiratory disorders, and asthma.
So I have asthma. Asthma also.
Reed and Lieutenant Koger both agree that Olin should be doing more to ensure first responders and nearby residents are safe.
From what I see, I don't think they care because no one actually came out and checked on after the incident happened and see if anyone was affected.
Better communication. Communication is the key to it all. Communication is going to save lives. It'll let us know what we're going into, what we need to do as far as the community concerned. We just hadn't had that from them.
Well, I've asked Olin for an interview multiple times, but I've not yet been granted that opportunity. Instead, Olin released a written statement to us that reads in part, quote, "We have carefully examined everything about the February 15th chlorine release event to determine what we could do to keep this from happening again. Now, while we deployed our emergency plan, there were operational procedures that could have been better implemented. We have also begun the installation of additional equipment that will help us improve our operations." The company went on to write, quote, "We're discussing ways to better inform the community if incidents occur and educate them on shelter-in-place procedures. We're also planning additional drills with local area responders to help them be better prepared. We are sorry for the concerns this incident has caused." So will there ever be any improvements on Olin's part? Well, some neighbors don't believe so because of the company's track record we uncovered. Tonight in part 2 of this special report, I'll show you the company's citation history and how the state's environmental enforcers are responding to the incident. Catch Toxic Release Part 2 tonight on Fox 10 News at 9.
Make sure that the water is safe for the children that are there. And
well, I know you'll edit, but is that what you're really looking for? The safety of the children? Or are you looking for a story?
Some pushback from a local school superintendent after we started asking questions about lead testing in public schools.
Amid national concerns for lead in school drinking water, Fox News is looking into the matter along the Gulf Coast.
Following the drinking water crisis in Flint, Michigan last year, states across the country have been looking more critically at the issue of lead contamination in drinking water.
School districts are starting to realize they've neglected to attend to an issue that might be poisoning students for years.
In Portland, Oregon, for example, extremely high lead levels were detected in several schools this summer. The state of New York has mandated that public school systems test their drinking water for lead.
And just last month, dozens of school systems found high lead levels in the water that students are drinking.
And lead is poisonous. It can't happen.
My kids go to school, it's supposed to be safe for water, food, and just having that water lead is for me, it's scary because I don't want my kids to be sick.
And in light of those concerns across the country, we wanted to take a closer look at the issue here in local schools.
And that's where our investigative reporter Kati Weis steps in. She's joining us in the studio with those details.
Well, Bob Lenise, it turns out both Mobile and Baldwin County school systems have not been testing its schools' water for lead contamination. And there is no law requiring school systems to test school drinking water. Because of our investigation, local school systems are now testing some of its schools' drinking water. And during the course of this investigation, the state has announced it will help test all public schools. Dr. Curtis Turner, a pediatrician at the University of South Alabama, says children are most susceptible to the harmful effects of lead poisoning.
The brain in children is growing at a rapid rate, so any insults that they have can affect them for life. Most of it has to do with learning. If it slows their learning down, then you have to worry about academic performance.
So, in the first week of October, Fox 10 News Investigates asked the Mobile and Baldwin County public school systems if a laboratory we hired could test some of the older school buildings that may be at risk. For weeks, there was no response. We even reached out to the State Department of Education, but still no word on testing. Finally, in early November, the superintendents of each school system emerged with an answer.
We don't test because there is no reason at this time to question any of the water supply.
Well, right now there was really no reason to test because we have no reason has been brought forward.
But they explained they would do their own testing at some older school buildings.
You know, were asking questions and we said, oh, okay, well, we can go ahead and test.
So we're going to do our testing in the schools you indicated, and then we'll give you the results of those tests.
I asked the Mobile County School Superintendent, Martha Peak, if she had spoken with the Baldwin County School Superintendent, Eddie Tyler, about the plans. So have you been in contact then with Baldwin County schools about this issue?
I've not been in contact with Baldwin County. I really have not been in contact with anyone except our facility division and also those people who are learning about the people who are testing for us. So I really haven't discussed this with anyone.
But Tyler said they did consult one another about the issue.
Because Martha and myself have spoken about the water quality.
But why do you think she would tell me on camera that she didn't?
Well, I can't speak for that because I didn't see your report.
Confused by the different responses, I pressed Tyler further. And I'm curious if you two were strategizing. Is this a strategy?
Wow, what a stretch. I think you're trying to make a story out of nothing. I think that's exactly what you're trying to do. Put that on air, please.
When there are states all around the country
I don't care what the other states are doing, Katie. I don't care what I care about Baldwin County. I didn't say it wasn't a story.
After our interviews with the superintendents, the State Department of Education announced it would help all public schools test for lead, even though back in October, it would not offer any assistance on testing. Mobile County Public Schools has just released its test results for 8 of its older schools. Parents and students at the following schools can rest easy knowing all the results were below the legal lead limit: Baker High School, Davidson High, Murphy High, Causey Middle, Alba Middle, Lott Elementary, and Dolphin Island Elementary. However, Mobile County has not yet tested all of its schools. There are at least 20 schools in Mobile County built in the 1980s or before that could have lead plumbing components. Now, if you would like to see Mobile County Schools' full testing results report, I have posted it for you on our website, fox10tv.com. Bob, Lenise.
Okay, Katie, has Baldwin County released its results yet?
Well, Baldwin County Schools informed us last week that it would be releasing the lead test results on the same day that Mobile County Schools released its results, but we are yet to receive those documents, and I'll be sure to let you know when we do. This Thanksgiving, people all over the world have a lot to be thankful for, but one couple in the Fowl River community is really thankful for life this year. 1 year ago this month, my mother donated a kidney to my father. This is the story of how a perfect match saved a life. They say true love conquers all. But Bob and Dorothy Weis, my dad and mom, are living proof.
He's turned out to be the light of my life.
I never even imagined that marriage could be as nice as it is.
7 years ago, Bob developed a rare autoimmune kidney disease known as membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis, or MPGN. The disease worsened over the years, forcing Bob to retire from his position as chief of anesthesia at the USA Medical Center. But in January 2016, his life almost came to an end.
He was in kidney failure so long that he developed congestive heart failure, and the congestive heart failure landed him in the hospital on life support for a couple weeks. That was really hard. For a while there, we weren't sure if he was going to live or die.
Miraculously, my dad survived, but he was in dire need for a kidney transplant. He was too old to be put on a donor list, so someone needed to volunteer. So my mom went through weeks of testing, crossing her fingers she could be the one.
It was something I really wanted to do, and I had a peace about it. There was a lot of prayer that went into the whole decision.
As if by fate, the two were a perfect match.
And I was just pleased as anything. And she is not only a match, she is a good match. And that will probably give me 10 to 15 years of good life.
They went through with the surgery in November 2016 at UAB's Kidney Transplant Center. 1 year later, Bob is able to enjoy a Thanksgiving feast with his family again.
I enjoy the company around the dinner table. I also enjoy the food. And last year, I couldn't enjoy much. And this will be just a particularly thankful time.
It's the 1 year anniversary, and we've come so far, and life is so much nicer. And we are just so thankful for UAB and the doctors that took care of us.
Now, the two are a true testimony to the power of love.
She made me realize how precious life is and how good life with her is.
Years ago, I gave him my heart, and so I didn't think twice about giving him a kidney.
From my family to yours, happy Thanksgiving. Love you, Mom and Dad.